Thank you all so much for showing up tonight. We're going to go ahead and get started at 6 o'clock. This is our time to listen to you. We've got a brief presentation to go through first. After that point in time, if you've got any questions, we'll be glad to answer what we can. So I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Bob Culver, County Executive. I have Dawn Parks, who is the Finance Director, Wayne Strasburg, Director of Administration, and Deputy Administrator is Weston Young here. So we want to hear from you. We want to know what you want to do, but I ask for your respect for all people involved. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Very pleased to have you here. Thanks for attending. We want to dedicate the majority of our time tonight listening to your input on the county's fiscal 2019 budget. We'll start with some background information on the budget process, and I'll tell you where we are in the budget process. Our finalized budget is due to present it to the County Council no later than April the 17th. Council then has until June 19th to review the proposed budget and make any changes that are permitted under the county's charter. We've met with or received written requests from every county department and or agency that the county funds. During subsequent meetings, we've had the opportunity to discuss requests for increased appropriations. We've also compared appropriation requests to the past 3 years' actual spending. We've done that by department and by line item. We've prepared estimates of revenues that we anticipate receiving in fiscal 19. The three major components of revenue for the county are property taxes, that's real and business personal property, local income taxes, and the use of an accumulated unencumbered fund balance, i.e. our accumulated savings. Property taxes and income taxes are primarily utilized for recurring annual expenses. Fund balance is primarily utilized for one-time expenses and capital investments. So we're now in the process of comparing our anticipated revenue to the appropriation requests. We're determining our priorities and balancing the budget. The county charter requires us to balance the budget each year, so our revenue must equal our expenses. So the following slides will present data that should be helpful in providing you with the some perspective on the task before us. Once we finish these slides, we will take your comments and receive your input. So with that, let's get us started. So, to give you your bearings, you can see from this slide that local property taxes are 47% of our annual revenue. Local income taxes are 37%, so 84% of the county's annual revenue come from those two sources. Our breakdown of spending. Okay, so 36% of our annual spending is for education, and that includes Board of Education, Warwick Community College, Public Library, the Extension Service, and School Debt Service. 24% of our spending is for public safety and health. That includes court system, State's Attorney's Office, Sheriff's Department, ambulance and fire services, corrections, emergency service, protection of animals, the Liquor License Board, public health, sanitation, and mosquito control. When you add the key components of spending, the major areas of spending, they come to about 80% of our annual budget or our annual revenue. We wanted to give you some trend lines on how revenue is behaving. And you can see from this, the top line, the blue line, are property tax revenues. And you can see that from fiscal 13 through fiscal 16, property revenue was fairly level, and that was because the underlying base, the property base, was essentially flat. We've seen about a 2% growth in the last two triennial assessments, so we are seeing a bit of growth in base. And a little bit later in the presentation, we will show you what that growth in base translates to with respect to the property tax mill rates. The reddish line is income taxes. And you can see that we've had a very, very nice trend in income taxes, and that's been attributable to growth in employment. And we've experienced very good growth in employment. As a matter of fact, in 17, we reached an historic high in the county with respect to the number of people who were employed. We're seeing now in the last 2 quarters that that growth curve has flattened out. It's moving now at a rate of about a 1% growth. So that's slowing down a bit. So let's talk about potential revenue. Showing you here what happens with the underlying property base applied to the differing rates that can be utilized. So the current property tax rate on real property is 0.9398 cents. So if we apply that to the current base that we've gotten from the State Department of Assessments and Taxation, that yields about $56.2 million in potential revenue. That would be an increase of about $1.8 million versus last year. If we adopted constant yield, that would be 0.9241 cents. That would yield the same amount of revenue that we had last year. That's what constant yield means. State Department of Assessment and Taxation says that if you want to generate the same amount of property tax revenue as you had in the previous year, this is the tax rate that you adopt. The allowable rate above constant yield, that's the revenue cap rate. The revenue cap rate would allow us to go to 0.9426 cents. That would take us up to $56.3 million. So we get a little bit more yield if we were to adjust the rate to the revenue cap rate. Interesting that 1 penny on the tax rate is equivalent to about $600,000 in revenue. Personal property, business personal property, the maximum allowable rate is 2.3495. We have been levying a rate of 2.1715. You can see the difference in revenue that would be generated. We would generate about, if we went to the maximum allowable rate, it would take us from about $8.5 million to $9.2 million. Each penny on that rate is worth about $39,000. So let's talk about projected revenue increase over the prior year. We're looking at an increase in revenue year over year based on the trending that we're seeing with income taxes and based on adopting the current property tax rate and applying it to the current base of $5.6 million, $5,653,441. These are the requests that we've received as we've met with departments and or received their input. And you can see that the total of the requests that we've received, excluding any adjustments in salary and benefits, is $10.3 million. So applying those asks to the revenue that we expect year over year, we're behind $4.7 million. In addition to that, we've received requests for non-recurring expenses, capital investments, and or one-time expenditures of $10.2 million. So in total, we're looking at about $20.5 million in increased appropriations. And you can therefore see that we're $15.5 million behind the curve We've got some very, very difficult decisions that we've got to make. So again, we're in the process of establishing what our priorities are going to be and what we can see ourselves funding and what we're going to have to defer. And with that, we invite your comments, your input. If you'd like to speak, please go to the microphone. Let us have your name, and try to limit your comments, if you can, to 3 minutes. And with that, I will sit down and listen.
Good evening, Mr. Culver, council members who are present, educators, and members of our community. I'm Joan Smith, president of the Wicomico County Education Association, known as WCEA, and I thank you for the opportunity to speak of the 2019 Wicomico County Board of Education budget. WCEA is supportive of the vision put forth in Dr. Hanlon's Achieve and Initiative plans. We're supportive of universal pre-K, but not as a means to raise test scores for the kindergarten assessment, which we oppose. We support universal pre-K for all of the right reasons. We know that universal pre-K provides access for all students to develop social and emotional skills, an understanding of the rules and expectations of a safe, respectful learning environment, and an opportunity to nourish a culture that values education. Our educators meet the needs of all students every day. Educators have made a long-term commitment, and we share a common vision of what Wicomico County Public Schools should be for our students. And that vision requires a substantial investment. But as investors, we must think ahead to the profits, a community that thrives because this administration, including you, County Executive Culver, and the county councilman, made the right choice to hold on to our educators and to fully fund the budget, making education priority one in Wicomico County. Academic research from the Learning Policy Institute has shown that among all school-related factors in the classroom, the teachers, educators, matter most in the success of our students. Educators in the classroom have 2 to 3 times the impact of any other school factor, including services and even other leadership in the building. But many of our finest educators leave the profession because it offers lower compensation and has less respect than comparable careers. There is understaffing, a shortage of substitutes that requires temporary reassignments of teachers and instructional assistants during the school day, leaving less time for planning for all. Teachers are told to look for, gather, and discriminate materials for their students, then to make copies, create stations, develop lesson plans, and then implement the lessons. This brief descriptive sentence does not do justice to the number of hours beyond the school day that teachers across the county miss sharing time with their family and pursuing life in Wicomico County. You recall the elementary classroom, don't you? It's changed a lot. There are many more demands upon our educators in today's classrooms, elementary, middle, and high school. Today, with the mounting demands of Common Core curriculum and endless tests, there is insufficient time for planning, individualized instruction for students, and worsening student behavior, addressed by the spinning wheel of progressive discipline. The overflowing workload leaves our students falling between the cracks. And again, WCEA supports many of our priority areas, including the universal pre-K minus testing, career education. That's important for our community especially. Technology expansion through programs such as STEM are extremely important in today's culture, but not to further opportunities for testing. WCEA recommends the following be prioritized. Improve the salary and working conditions of all classroom educators and bring salary into line with comparable professions for educators, which of course includes all of our support staff. Teachers, educators don't go into this profession to get rich, nor did we expect that we may need to hold second and even third jobs. We became educators to make a difference. And it's time that you recognize that increasing salaries is a student issue. Maintaining a highly professional workforce is the most effective strategy for ensuring that every student in Wicomico County has access to highly qualified educators. Schools improve and the entire community benefits when additional education funding for educators' salaries is the top priority for legislators. Teachers' salaries have been relatively flat, and teachers have fallen behind comparable professions. We ask that you erase that penalty, the money that teachers are giving up to stay in the profession. It is imperative that we begin this year to increase educators' salaries. Wicomico County's education appropriation has been lagging, somewhat disgracefully, since 2010, when appropriations reached $50,781,711, 40% of the county budget. Our county boasts that during 2017, quote, education was supported in all forms, unquote. How could that be when appropriations for 27 had dropped to $41,933,313, or 31.07% of the county budget? Our salaries fall behind other locals. Will you be the cause of our loss of highly qualified educators and their families to those districts? Wicomico County is charged with one of the most important constitutional obligations, after all. That is providing a thorough and efficient system of free public schools. The educators in their classrooms every day in each of our schools know what works and what their students need. Our educators dramatically improve our public schools to better educate students. Let's be clear. Wicomico County must raise salaries for certificated professionals and support staff this year, and that requires full funding of the 2019 Wicomico County Public Schools budget. Gentlemen, I thank you for your work and for your leadership and your consideration this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Smith.
Good evening. My name is John Palmer. I'm a member of the Wicomico County School Board. I'm the only school board member here tonight. Our superintendent and the other school board members are over at the Teacher of the Year Gala, and they cannot attend. So I'm going to be the one doing the speaking. A lot of people here don't know, but when I came to the board, one of the things I wanted to do was to start improving some internal relationships between the school board, the Board of Education, the county council, and the county executive. It's better to be working together than to be butting heads all the time. When you're butting heads, you're not going to get anywhere. A lot of people don't know that over the last couple of years that the county executive and Mr. Strasburg had spent increasingly many hours of time in these schools. They're willing to learn where we spend our money, how we ask for it, where the money is going to. Mr. Strasburg sits on the building commission committee. He has direct input into it. He has many good suggestions. He has good questions, and there are compromises made at these meetings. So we're not just sitting around arguing button heads. We're trying to move forward. Our new superintendent does have a lot of great ideas as visions, 4 visions that she has are great. These are the things that's going to make our Board of Education and our county stand out. And if anybody hasn't seen these yet, they need to go to the website, pull them up, and read and see what they say. I doubt there's many people in this room right now that fully understands what we want to do with the Wicomico County education system. But the way that you're going to get money in for funding is going to be by improving what's going on in Wicomico County. You have got to make this a good county. You got to do it in jobs, homes, Board of Education. When people come here for these new jobs, they're going to be bringing more money with them. You've just seen where we've had the increase in the revenues for the people coming in who are working here. The more people that come in, the more jobs, the better it's going to be. Basically, I think that's it. But I invite all of you to come to the Board of Ed meetings, the school boards. Many times we'll sit in there just like the county council does, and we're the only ones looking at the cameras. But we appreciate you coming in, saying your comments. We do pay attention to the comments. So I'm inviting you all, please take the time to come in and see us. Thank you.
Good evening.
Hi.
Dear County Executive, County Council members, my name is Jill Gilmore. I'm an Instructional Assistant at Pinehurst Elementary. Tonight I'm here to ask you to fully fund the WCBOE funding request for the 2018-2019 year. We are requesting that you fund this request because the need for safe Wicomico County public schools. Despite all of our efforts, we and our students can become targets in our schools. Many people here already had their children go through the school system. I would like my children to get through the 12th grade. Wicomico County public schools are open to all students, and we take them all in and try to help. We are happy with the steps the superintendent and our principals are taking to keep us safe at school. We're learning ALICE training and learning different ways for lockdown and escape routes. We are there to teach the children. That is our main goal. Nothing else. We're there to learn and teach during the day. That's what we should be doing, not worrying about our safety. We have all heard of the fights and assaults on other students and educators. We also have heard of the school shootings recently, even here in Maryland. Still, we do the best we can to provide a safe environment to all of our students. It's not easy, and sometimes it stops people from entering the field of education and actually gets people to leave. I don't want that to happen to anybody that I work with. Therefore, would it be too much to ask to fund this for Dr. Hanlon? We're 100% supportive of her and think her visions are wonderful for us going forward in the school years while she's with us. I guess that's it. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening, County Executive and the County Council members. My name is Sandy Ward, and I work at Pinehurst Elementary School also. I'm here tonight to ask you to fully fund the WCBOE budget that Dr. Hanlon has put forth with all of her initiatives that she'd like to do in the 18-19 school year. I'd like to concentrate for just a minute or two on the salary end of that budget, asking that you fully refund her request, because it would make Wicomico County a more competitive county in attracting, but mostly and especially in retaining good teachers. Competing with the other counties in Maryland and beyond will require a significant increase in salary. For example, a math teacher in Anne Arundel County starts at $69,000. A starting teacher here in this county is about half that at $43,000. And when we move up the scale, it's a less and less amount that we receive as compared to other counties. So retaining teachers is going to get to be a very big part of that. Because of having researched some salary scales in other counties and even in other states, I've had some conversations with some of my coworkers and some of the students at Salisbury University, and there became a common thread in some of their comments that the out-of-state schools, Pennsylvania in particular, they were told, at least 2 of them were told, go ahead down to Maryland, down to Delaware, get a few years of experience back there, and then come back here. I don't want to live in a county where you just get a few years experience and you move out. I don't think that's too much of an attraction to be here. That doesn't say too much for the quality of education that we put forth. It doesn't say too much on the importance that our county gives to the education and keeping seasoned and good educators. Teachers and the support staff will not be competing for jobs here if they can go a few hours in any direction and get a job that is 1.5 times the money for the same job and the same responsibilities. And I have also spoken to a few people in my neighborhood because they know I'm an educator in the county and have said, we're moving. And I asked them, I see a for sale sign in your yard. What's happening? We've had some really bad experiences in our schools with my 2 sons. I don't see anything better in the middle school and the high school years. We're moving. Another comment was, we're renting. They're newly married, getting ready to have children, want to build a house. They're not sure they're going to, because they're not sure what the schools are going to look like in the next few years. And they want to make sure that their children have the opportunity to go to a school that's competitive in the future, that their child will be ready for a job when they graduate. And many of those jobs haven't even been created yet that we're actually trying to prepare those children for. Teachers need experience in the classroom to improve, but that's what we're doing. We're giving them the time to improve, and then they're moving on somewhere else. So we need to talk about retaining these teachers, and at this point we have a 20% turnover. That's not a good rate. And of those teachers, half leave teaching altogether within the first 5 years. 1 in 5 teachers leave our county every year. And those are those beginning teachers going somewhere else because they don't see their salary scale and their workload and the demands put on them getting any better. Increasing demands on educators have not been met with increased pay. No employee in any sector would tolerate the increasing responsibilities added every year without a significant increase in pay. Personally, the amount of additional work other than regular instruction, which we should be doing all of our day, I personally have experienced in my 32 years as an educator has more than tripled. I have worked and tried to figure out ways to decrease that, and it just seems it just keeps getting piled on. Computers are not the answer. I feel like I am constantly taking the work that I've already done and filling out someone's form in the computer for them to make some sort of report. I feel it's wasted time. The amount of data collection, the amount of data evaluation, the amount of data we have to look at, there is no way you could retain all that and actually use it for the benefit of those students without more time to do that. And people aren't willing to do that. So with that said, therefore, I'm asking you again to fully fund the WCBOE funding request that Dr. Hanlon has put forth. Thank you.
Hello, good evening. My name is Maida Finch, and I'll start by saying thank you for the opportunity to speak about priorities in our community. I'm here tonight to talk about the Wicomico Public Libraries. This year, the library asked for an increase of $450,000 in their budget, and this is to restore funding to the level it was 10 years ago in 2008, before the economic crisis. Public libraries in Maryland spend on average $55 per person. But in Wicomico County, we spend just $24 per person. We are last in funding across all counties in Maryland. Nobody likes being in last place. The requested increase will raise our spending to $31 per person, which is still considerably less than the average county spends. But it will be enough to extend libraries' hours, to add to the collections, and to expand the programs that are offered there. 10 years later, it is time to restore the library's funding. Thank you very much for your consideration.
Dear County Council, my name is Pamela Barclay. I am an instructional assistant and I work at Pinehurst Elementary. I'm here tonight to ask you fully to fund the WCBOE funding request. You should fully fund the WCBOE funding request because of the little support staff is paid. I've been working, I'm just adding this in, I've been working for almost 20 years in October, and my pay is very little. Many instructional assistants, custodians, food service workers, and others work hard every day for our students for very little money, sometimes for as little as $20,000 per year. These employees need to hold 2 or sometimes 3 jobs to support themselves and their families. So far, the improvement economy seems to have had little effect on their salaries. We should not forget these employees who work hard, who work so close with our students and volunteers for them in their free time. Therefore, I am asking you again to fully fund Wicomico Board of Education funding requests. Thank you.
Good evening, County Council. How you guys doing? Appreciate you guys having us up here. Democracy still functions. That's good to see. My name's Harry Suber. I'm a classroom teacher, proud employee of the Wicomico County Board of Education for over 10 years. I was a substitute for a long time. I'm a coach in the county, and I'm a proud member of the county. I'm born and raised here. You've heard a lot of fiscal reasons to invest in education. Of course, I'm here to ask you to fully fund what we're asking for. I want to just quickly give you an emotional appeal. From my experience, a happy teacher is a good teacher. Only 4.6%, 4.6, that's less than 5% of incoming freshmen in the year 2017 majored in education. Compare that to the 1970s, it was 10%. Why is that? Because we're being made to be martyrs. Society's ills are dumped on us, and it's up to us to deal with it. And our higher-ups take advantage of our philanthropic and civic-minded nature. And they know we'll just do it. They throw stuff on us, they know we'll just do it. We'll take care of it. We're on the front lines every day holding the line. And I see you're in a tight spot, and I appreciate that. You've got some tough choices to make. But I urge you to not forget about what's important in favor of what's urgent. Right? Education is the future of this county. There's no arguing that. That's self-evident. So don't get caught up in the frenetic moment of just slashing because we've had an off year, or because we've got more expenses, or revenue looks this way or that way. Education is an investment in the future, and happy teachers are good teachers. Thank you.
Good evening, dear County Executive, County Council members. My name is Alvin Krueger, and I've worked for Wicomico High School, and I've been a science teacher for over 10 years. I come to you as a teacher, a parent, and a member of the community. I'm here tonight to ask you that you fully fund the WCBOE funding request for 2018-2019 fiscal year. I ask that you fully fund this request because of the increasing workload educators are dealing with. Year after year, educators are being asked to do more without a substantial increase in compensation. Teachers are being asked to do more paperwork, have more rigorous, engaging lesson plans, and work many more extra hours after the end of school day. Nurses have to see more students, custodians have to clean more rooms, understaffed, instructional assistants are spread thinner and thinner as the days go by, and they have to act as substitute teachers most often, as we commonly have shortages of substitute teachers as well. Office staff has to do more paperwork, etc., etc., etc. Schools work tirelessly for the communities that you represent. It is time that these efforts are being rewarded with fair increase in compensation. I urge you that you consider the effect teachers have on the population that they teach. I'm asking you again, please fully fund the WCBOE funding request for 2018-19 year. Thank you very much.
Good evening, Mr. Carver and Mr. Strasburg and members of the County Council. Thank you for this opportunity to address you. I'm Lieutenant Dickerson at Wicomico County Department of Corrections, and I'm here to speak about our responsibilities at Wicomico County Department of Corrections and the Sheriff's Department, the service that we provide. Both agencies have been charged with the responsibility of monitoring and maintaining the peace and security of Wicomico County. The Sheriff's Department by patrolling of the neighborhoods, providing security in and around our public schools and communities, and arresting those individuals who violate the peace and safety of Wicomico County. The Wicomico County Department of Corrections accomplishes this by the safe and secure confinement of individuals that are arrested and transported to our facility. Both agencies, Wicomico County Sheriff's Department and Wicomico County Department of Corrections, together work in keeping the county safe. The compensation is where our two departments differ. In the areas of the Wicomico County, by means of compensations, first of all, the Sheriff's Department is paid on parity with MSP, Maryland State Police, which is a state facility, of course. Wicomico County Department of Corrections are paid a substandard wage compared to ECI, which is state for corrections. The Wicomico County Department of Corrections has become, by way of compensation, equivalent to a minor league team who desires to play in the major leagues. And the major leagues is ECI and Worcester County. The county, we hire the staff, we train the staff, but we can't retain the staff due to the compensation package. It's like having a bucket with a hole in the bottom of it. Pour water in it, but it continues to leak out because of the hole. We have lost significant former members of our staff to Worcester County and ECI. A few years ago, the Wicomico County Department County Council decided to increase the pay of our entry-level employees. However, the compensation was not afforded to the senior staff. And I brought this to the attention of Mr. Carver and Mr. Strasburg at a meeting in July 2017. And both Mr. Carver and Mr. Strasburg agreed that compensation should be received by all of the staff members. Now, I am currently working on a shift, midnight shift, 2300, 0700, and I am a lieutenant on that shift. And everyone on the shift is compensated a $1.50 per hour shift differential. However, because of my position, I'm excluded from that. And I have forwarded a letter to the Mr. Calamagus before he left our department, and it was also forwarded to Ms. Michelle Ennis. And I appreciate the opportunity to address you and that these issues will be addressed. Thank you.
Good evening, County Council, County Executive. My name is Edward Holland. I am a Correction Officer 2 at Wicomico County Detention Center. I'm not going to take up too much of your time. Lieutenant Dickerson touched on a few things. I just want to touch on a couple other things as well. As I sat up here, I heard all the teachers say to fund them. I really think you need to fund them, guys. Also, because my children in the school system, your children in the school system, and I really think the teachers need that type of money, to deal with what's going on now. School's a lot more tougher now. Now, on the flip side of that, with school being tough, those knuckleheads, guess where they're coming? They're coming to the detention center. So, like saying, I'm up here. We got a few of us here from the detention center. We're here because we're asking, we want to know, can we also get a compensation increase? I seen that the Singer study was done. The findings were for 2017. Nobody anywhere came to us to explain it to us. And we just want an explanation of the breakdown of everything. It had 115 positions surveyed, and the position has from A to Z, and everybody in the county. And, being a correction officer, we don't get off on weekends. We don't get off holidays. We miss time. We spend more time at the facility than more time with our family. So our fellow officers are starting to be our family, working 16, 24 hours. Transportation. If an inmate goes up to Baltimore, guess what? They're up there for a limited amount of time, missing everything with their families and stuff. Also to say that Wicomico County Detention Center is the largest detention center in Maryland and the 8th largest prison or jail facility in Maryland. Like saying, we got a heavy workload. Not only are we correction officers, we got to also be a mentor towards the inmates. We also got to deal with mental health people coming off the street. Being a correction officer, it's not a cakewalk. It is not a cakewalk. And I just also want to say that we need better equipment. We got radios for like 1950. As soon as you click on there, hey, 2400, it cuts right off. If you don't know what's going on, might be an emergency going on, but yet they don't know what's going on. Also, I had a question too in the non-recurring budget request and the $841,000. Is anything in there for us for our salary increase as well, or is it just for non-expenditure stuff? Also, we have a high turnover rate. I've been working there for 3 years. I just saw 40, 50 people walk out that door already, from pros to rookies to people being there mid 3, 4 years. It also said that the last salary study was done 2005. So that's 13 years without any type of salary survey being done for corrections. Seeing that's all I got to really say, but I just, I'm up here doing it for me, but also doing it for my fellow officers. I just think that we too should be included into that salary increase because we both work hand in hand. Not work hand in hand, but the students, the trouble students they deal with, they come to us. So, thank you.
My name is Christopher Stevenson. I've been with the Wicomico County Department of Corrections for 26 years. And I wanted everyone to know, first, thank you for allowing me to speak and voice my opinion and concerns. One thing that has happened in my 26 years, corrections have evolved and changed dramatically. It's now more a kinder, gentler facility in a way of operating, which means you have to have a lot of patience and you have to be trained a lot to deal with the type of people that we get. Over the years, we get more mental health people so that people can understand what we're dealing with. With these people, they have mental problems. Most of them, when they come in, they haven't been taking their medication. They substitute other drugs for their medication, so they come in and we have to deal with them. Not to mention, they're not going to get the same type of treatment that they get when they go in-house to another facility. The treatment is a little bit better because of the budget. We also deal with chemical dependency. We all know the rise with the heroin epidemic and the things that's going on with the drugs. We deal with a lot of people with withdrawals. And not to mention, last but least, is behavior. More of the inmates that are coming in are more aggressive. The police deal with them. We all work in public work. We all know what we deal with. We can't send them out. We have to keep them, we have to deal with them, and we have to be professional. It is a professional career that we're in, because if we're not professionals, lawsuits come into place. Not to mention, in the last 5 or 15 years that I've been there, we've lost a lot of seasoned officers. Anyone knows you have to have balance anytime you're operating. I'm also the football official. If I have a lot of inexperienced football referees on the field, you're going to have problems. Same thing in a correctional environment. You have to have a balance, even in sheriff, deputy, police. If you do not have that balance, you're going to create problems that's going to cost you in the long run. I would like for us to try to at least keep what we have, and I think by compensating us for what we do, it will help to make corrections a more safer and better place and keep the staff there that are already there. Thank you for your time.
My name is Troy Davison. I am a correctional officer also at Wicomico County Detention Center. I know that we have had this Singer study performed. I know that that Singer study was not performed for free. One of the things that if I'm going to do something at home and I'm going to spend the money on something, I'm pretty much going to use whatever it is, the product that I've bought. You know, the Singer study indicates that we're grossly behind in our salaries. It's tangible evidence. You know, the line of work that I'm in, that my co-workers are in, it was a choice that we made of our own free will. That's what this nation's about. However, October the 12th of 2017, and as many people know, I started my career in corrections in North Carolina. I'm proud of that work. We were dedicated. And October the 12th of 2017, 4 of my dear friends were killed in the line of duty at Pasquotank State Penitentiary. A few months prior to that, another sister was killed in the line of duty at Bertie Correctional Institution in North Carolina. Recently, within the last year, we've had another correctional officer killed in Smyrna, Delaware, in the line of duty, performing his job. Most recently, we've had another correctional officer in Pennsylvania killed in the line of duty, doing his job. This particular individual was removing a towel off of a bunk so that he could properly see that inmate and perform his job. And he got the boots put to him. We are in a dangerous line of work. It's our choice. We do this. It's what we do. And I have found out after many years of corrections, you're basically too screwed up to work with normal people anyway after a certain length of time. However, if the Singer study indicates a particular set of numbers and we are working at another set of numbers, our county tax dollars have paid for this thing, we are deserving of what that study indicates. That's all we're asking for. It was supposed to be a non-biased, all-inclusive study. Their numbers indicate we're due a substantial increase. I'd like to see us get it. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Officer Teresa Carroll. I've been with Wicomico County Department of Corrections for 7.5 years. I'm here to put the passion on what my colleagues. I think there's a stain on corrections. I wear my badge with honor. There's corruption everywhere in every form of profession, but I stand proudly with my colleagues. We take on a dangerous job daily. You hear the bad news that the officers is doing this and doing that, but you don't hear the good news when somebody, an inmate falls out and have a massive heart attack and my colleagues jump in and save them. Somebody's hanging, we walk around doing our round, we gotta cut them down and then go home and debrief. We are deserving of a raise. I've seen people come in, want to do their job, but will go to the next county. We train them. They'll go to the next county to make more money. We're wasting our time. We send them to the academy. They'll go to the next facility. The facility will hire them. They don't have to put that money out because they've already been trained. We spend countless years. You got to have the balance of a senior officer and a non. Because if not, Wicomico County, do we have to come to work and see our staff, our flag half staff, well, one of my colleagues have been assaulted, killed? We have not learned anything from Georgetown. That's right up the street. We got the same type inmates. The county needs to know we have the same type inmates that don't care about taking us out. But we swore to protect the community because some people are not fit for the community. So I'm just here to plead that we do get an increase so we can keep what we have. Thank you for your time.
Good evening, Mr. Culver, County Council members. My name is Craig Mitchell, and I heard a prior speaker refer to the term knucklehead. Well, I used to be a knucklehead. And today I can proudly say that I've been serving as a support staff member for 7 years, as well as a coach in the county at Bennett Middle School in Fruitland. I am here as well tonight to ask you to fully fund the WCBOE funding request for the 2018-2019 fiscal school year. You should fully fund the WCBOE funding request because it would be simply a local investment. Educators spend money in the community as well. Some of us rent homes, some of us buy homes, raise children, pay taxes here in the county. If we have more money, local businesses and governments will see revenue rise. Unlike one-time construction or infrastructure projects that, when completed, will no longer employ potential consumers, raising the pay of educators is an immediate and long-term method to increase consumer spending here locally. Businesses will not aspire to relocate here if there is not a customer base that can afford their products. Therefore, I am asking you as well, just like my colleagues, to fully fund the WCBOE funding request for the 2018-2019 school year. Thank you for your time.
Good evening. My name is Ann Jones, and I had no thought of standing up here tonight, but I am a support. Please forgive me, I'm very nervous.
That's okay.
I am a special education assistant. I am a building rep for the assistants at my school. but I like to stand for all the assistants in all the schools. We get a raise of 1% raise every now and then. Appreciate it. Another choice but to appreciate it. I know there's the thing, but whether we were satisfied with it, we have to say yes. If we don't say yes, we might not get that 1%. And I stand for all the assistants because we do a lot. I would like to say we go above and beyond the call of our duty. I have no problem with that. I've been in it since 2001. Before I came to Wicomico, I was a substitute in Somerset County where my kids went. My kids are grown. I have a grandson still in Somerset. I have a grandson in Wide Middle. And I know that we all that are in the school system are really, there's a lot of people, like they say, are ready to get out because of what goes on in the school system, what happens, and a lot of us, we don't have support. Now, I can say this for my school because like I say, I am the building rep, and I have the assistants come to me sometimes. That's not too much that I can tell them. I have one here for my school, and I'm so glad to see her because we have a lot of complaints. And I asked them to come to the meetings, but we can't get them there. But I'm just asking that you guys please work with the Board of Education because we really do need it. Because there's a lot of people that's ready to walk out because they have no support and they're not getting the money that we all really truly deserve. So I would like to thank you all for just listening.
Tom Taylor, Colburn Mill. I feel for everybody out here, but I'd like to speak up for a child's first educator, the parents. And I know we all pay taxes here, but a lot of people in the county don't have the luxury of having a pension plan, a retirement plan, or health benefits. They're working 2 or 3 jobs, and they're away from their children to make their monthly nut of mortgage and other bills. We all have that. What they don't see is any help from maybe a top-heavy salary base, but just asking them to give more and more when they can't go and get a higher pay raise from other people. I don't envy the job you have, but just remember that the more time parents spend with their children before age 4, the easier it will be for teachers and easier it will be for our detention center workers. Thank you.
Mr. Culver, members of the County Council, I have a question. I'm here tonight based on a rumor of Cabin's proposal for Cedar Hill Park. Is that true?
Is the rumor true that, well, if they're not being built yet, it's a suggestion that I came up with based on what's going on in Deep Creek Lake called Blue Moon Rising. They're the tiny cabins like you see on TV, but it would offer a more or less a destination for many people to come to Wicomico County. We're studying it. We're looking at it. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. I think there are several of us that would like to go on the record since we have a $15.5 million shortfall and there are other priorities in the county that we table that suggestion for a year or two until we have the funds after the other departments have been fully funded. Thank you, sir. My name is Bruce Franz.
Thank you, Mr. Franz. Appreciate your suggestion.
Good evening. My name is Roxy Dennis Achelano, and I'm a student advisor at North Salisbury School as well as a counselor, and I'm just sitting here thinking, crossing off and putting other things on. But the bottom line, I think, tonight is that we're saying within your heart and within the numbers that you see, if there is any way possible that you can fund the Wicomico County Board of Education, please do it. We need teachers. We need more teachers. We need teachers that are highly qualified to come to this county. I love Wicomico County. I live in Worcester County. But when I got out of school, Wicomico County was the first county that hired me. And that's where I applied because I said I like to ride and I love Salisbury. And I'm just saying, we never know what a day is going to bring when we walk into our schools. Some children coming in and they're saying, did you hear about the shooting last night? We don't only just stand in front of the classroom and teach, but we nurture, we counsel. If children need clothes, go out and buy clothes for them. And it's still not about just teaching. It's about nurturing the whole child. And I admire you up here tonight for what you do. But I would ask, Dr. Hanlon is doing a fine job, and she needs help. We all need help. And again, if you can just find it in your hearts tonight to try to fund the Wicomico County Board of Education funding, I don't think you would be sorry because of all the things. If you pick up the newspapers and read the newspapers and everything that's going on, again, we too, as it's been stated, that we spend in the community, buy homes in the community, raise our children here, gives increase within the businesses. So again, we just ask that if you would give the raise to us, we can do more. A lot of times we do a lot of things on the outside. Me personally, things you don't even want people to know about that you've done. And you don't put the money value on a life. Because when you're speaking about a life, the money really goes out the door. Yes, we need money to operate, but when a child stands in front of you that hasn't eaten, don't know where the next meal may even come from, but they're eating at the school, and after they leave the school, they don't know what's next. And sometimes personally, we have to dig in our own funds and help children. We're here for children. When I took this job, it wasn't about the money. I was working in Ocean City making good money, but I had a love for children and wanted to help children. And I believe, sitting here looking at each one of you tonight, I believe that you too have a love for children. And I know there's numbers and you have to stick to the numbers, but if at all possible, would you please consider funding us for 2018-19? Your time is appreciated. I thank you for even taking the time to listen to us tonight. I heard you when you came and said, this is serious business. This is serious business. And I believe teachers are just like doctors because children's lives are in our hands. And along with our hands, they're also in your hands. I thank you and I appreciate it because I believe that you will help. Thank you.
We have talked several times, and I've enjoyed, going and listening to your presentations when we've gone out to the WCEA. First of all, for all teachers, let me tell you, I think the world of teachers. I have 7 members in my family that are teachers, okay? So I'm not saying that I can give everything, but with the 7 members that I have, I'm going to do everything I can. But you've got to know, I have no control over your salaries. Let it be known up front, I could give $100 million and you may not give a penny of it because I have no control. I am a funding agent is all that we do for the county. So yes, I want the best teachers we can possibly have at the best salaries. Can I compete with Worcester County? No, they've got an ocean. Of course, we've got a lot of water right now if we could just get in the same spot, but we don't have the real estate that they have. That's where they make their money. We are an agricultural community. And unless we want to change from being a farm group in Wicomico County, we are not going to have the agricultural base, we're not going to have the tax base that Worcester County has. Anne Arundel County was mentioned earlier. I can't keep up with them. There's no way. So of that, we're trying to fund, and Mr. Ford, and we've had several meetings. We meet about every 4 weeks with Dr. Hanlon, Bruce Ford, and Liesel to determine where we're going to go. Since we've come over, in my administration, we have finished Bennett Middle School. We have done West Salisbury School. We are now working on Beaver Run. We're trying to put Beaver Run into the queue, as they call it. We're waiting for the IAC to let us know. So we've done almost $80 million worth of schools in a very short time here, in 3 years. There's a lot of needs for everybody. There's a lot of needs we've got to do. But I don't want you to think that we don't care, but you tell me what you want me to do. I've got money going towards systemic renovations, Del Mar. We've got the auditoriums at Wahai, the Parkside, $500,000 each to redo those auditoriums. What do you want me to spend the money on? We've only got so much. If I were to pay $7 million, that was the ask, $7.2 million, I believe, to the Board of Education, I would have to raise everybody's taxes in Wicomico County by about 13 cents per $100. Now, that was cut 1 cent last year. So that's 13 cents per $100. So you add that up as to what it's going to cost in your house. You saved $10 last year on 1 cent. So if I raise it 13, you know what each party's going to be paying. So, and how well do you think that'll go over? But what I'm really trying to get at is I would like to have the best schools, the best education. We believe in pre-K, and Mr. Ford can tell you, we contacted the Board of Education a year ago wanting to try to establish pre-K. It's coming. We know it. We need to get it out. We're not sure on where to start because the schools don't have enough room to hold all the students for pre-K. Do I build another school just like my kids went to West Salisbury? Do we do the same thing now with pre-K, or do we have to add on to every school in the county? We have 24 schools. There's only so much money to go around. The sheriff's office, you've heard the fact that we're looking at building a new sheriff's office, roughly $12 million. These are the people that we pay to protect us, the sheriffs. They're in a building that if it blew 75 miles an hour would blow down. It's a strand steel tin building. So do we not want to keep our sheriffs safe? That's part of safety. Our fire companies, all that. So we've got all those things to look at with a limited amount of budget. But as we said, as Wayne said, we're going to get about $5 million more. So that's a figure. Help me out and be honest. What do you want me to do? And I would love to hear, I know your needs, I know where your wants are. Tell me how to do it. I know you're going to say, that's my job. And that's what I'm trying to balance now, not to leave anybody out. Correction officers, let me tell you about corrections officers. A year ago, you all had 171. I changed that. We thought that was going to cost about $250,000 to the county, but it didn't because you still had people calling out. 171 rule for corrections and police officers, I'll explain to you real quickly. They have to work 171 hours before they're entitled to overtime in a 4-week period of time. So that means that they would have to put in basically 11 hours overtime before they qualify. That cost the county over $400,000 last year. So it's not that I don't care about correction officers. We have done everything. The Singer study, you are right, the Singer study was done at a cost of $50,000 to find out where everybody is pay-wise. I'm sorry, not the teachers, but the other county employees. With that being done, I have got to present it to the council. And there's 2 council people back here now, and they will tell you it was to come up last week on a work session, but the lady that was going to present it, she got hung up because of ice. So it should come up at the next session, as far as I know. It's not the council's fault. It's not my fault. It's just the way the weather broke down, and that's how it's coming into effect. So, but let me give you one of the biggest things for the county based on, and we're in a consortium with the Board of Education, the City of Salisbury, and Wicomico County for our insurance. Wicomico County's share of insurance is going up 18%. That's over $2 million more I've got to pay Blue Cross Blue Shield just to keep the same insurance that we've got. Now, the Board of Education has changed some things. You all don't longer insure your retiree's spouse, I believe, that kind of stuff. We're still doing that. The city, Mr. Heath can tell you, they've had to change theirs up and go do some different things also. So that's something we've got to look at. We have not changed ours yet, but that's going to cost us $2 million more. This is all coming out of that $5 million extra we've got in income tax coming in. Our roads are taking about $1.5 million. We lost our HUR money. We've lost over $45 million in the last 6 years. We've had to come up and fund that ourselves. So in order for the school buses to get to the schools, we've got to pave the roads. So that's taking me $2 million more out of our budget, which are your taxes, to do that. Every little thing counts here, and this is what I'm trying to explain. It's not any one group that I'm trying to to outcast or not, the library, and I will tell you about I will answer to the library. The library, the state gives us a rule as to what we are to pay for the library. We are to pay, if a county decides to have a library, they are to pay $15 per individual, okay, per population. Wicomico County is based at roughly 102,000 people. That figure comes out to about $1.5 million. Of that $1.5 million, the county pays 40% of it, the state pays 60%. Let me tell you now, we are paying $1.5 million, I believe it's over 1.5 that we have in the budget for this year. So there's a ratio that we work with the state and what we're responsible for. So I have a letter from the state right here today as to what we are to pay. So we are paying that. So I'm trying to get everybody up at the same time. If you've got any suggestions or a magic pill, wand, please do tell me. I'd love to know because there's only so much money to go around and I would love to give everybody everything I could, like I say. So please don't feel that anybody's going to be cut, but I can tell you now, I can't give $7.5 million and fully fund the BOE's request because I've got so many other requests for renovations, the new buildings, the new schools and that kind of stuff. And again, I have no control over the salary. So I'm hoping to do what I can do and it'll be above. Maintenance of effort this year went up $646,000 above last year. If I'm able to give $1.3 million, $1.4 million above what we did last year, or above MOE, I'm going to be very pleased. But that's how tight things are right now. I mean, we are picking up, but we're not out of a recession yet because we don't have the ways of making the money to make it out of recession. Like I say, our tax base is only so much. A penny was cut last year. I have a revenue cap that should be like a tax cap and not a revenue cap. But know that the revenue cap will not allow me to get so much money off of the income tax. Excuse me, off the real estate tax. I'm only allowed to get that off new houses. So I am limited somewhat. So that story has come up about the revenue cap. Has it held us back? I'm going to tell you no right now. But at the same time, should it be looked at? Yes. It's 18 years old, and most rules that are written 18 years ago need to be looked at, just like schools are now. What's happened at Pittsville Elementary School, or excuse me, middle school, we're going to take care of that. I know that there's going to be an SRO put down there, and we're going to make sure that the Board of Education's got the money for that. So we're trying to take care of that. One thing that Mr. Strasburg, Wayne, and I want to do, and we've talked about it, is to harden all schools. When I say harden, make all schools safer. I cannot imagine what those parents are going through in Texas or anywhere else. Just unplug me if that happened. My kids are through the school system, but at the same time, I have family members that teach every day, and I will make everything I can do to keep everybody protected. But work with me, and rather than get up here and chastise us for not being able to fund you fully, work with me and let me know that what way I can do what would make things okay this year, and next year we're going to work on the other problem. That's all I ask from you. So I thank you all for coming out today. You can zoom tight, and if I can do anything for you, we're more than happy to help you. Either Weston, Wayne, or myself, or Dawn can answer any questions you may have tonight. So thank you again for your time, and appreciate you coming out.